The Baroque period lasted from the 1600s to the 1700s. This is a period of extravagance and luxury. But do you want to know the extravagant history? Well, let's get started. It all started in the 1600s in the city of Rome after the Renaissance. It defines a period of greatness and opulence for art and architecture. Soon the movement expanded to all of Europe. It became very popular in France, Spain, and Austria. In comparison to the art during the Baroque period, the paintings and portraits were more detailed. They used intense colors for religious and mythological purposes. A common element in the painting was the drama. A mixture of light and darkness became very popular in many paintings like Las Meninas by Diego Velázquez, or another famous masterpiece during the Baroque period was The Night Watch by Rembrandt. Music was very important in the period. They developed new instrumental techniques, and due to the new techniques, composers and performers created more elaborated music. One of the most famous pieces of music is The Four Seasons by Antonio Vivaldi. Architecture was a big element during the Baroque period. It had a lot of details, like in the Renaissance, like domes and colonnades. But during the Baroque period, they made them higher, more decorate, and more dramatic. An example of it is the Palestinian side in France. The Baroque period eventually ended in 1750, but still created a big mark in the art, architecture, and music of Europe. That is the amazing history of the Baroque period.
The Baroque period explored instrumental music outside of a religious context. You may have heard of composers like Bach, Vivaldi, and Handel. All of them produced their work during the Baroque period. The Baroque period was so important because it represented an exploration of instrumental music outside of a religious context. During this time, the church was losing its political influence and control in Europe, which allowed artists to create or explore music outside of a religion. The Baroque period brought religious images back into public view. Baroque brought images for religious worship back into the public eye after being banned for their glorification of the ethereal and ideal. The movement's leaders professed that art should be easily understood and strongly felt by common people with the effect of encouraging pity and awe for the church. Baroque period also inspired grandeur and awe through art, to inspire and uplift the common people as well as to connect them with the church and its majestic creature.
Church interiors became highly decorated, and more decorative elements were added to the altar and columns of the Great Hall within the church. Emphasis was to put the parishioners close to the altar to make them experience the grandeur of the church and ceremony. Caravaggio, one of the most famous painters in human history, a controversial artist loved and hated by many. Born as Michelangelo Merisi, the Caravaggio in Italy in 1571. When Caravaggio was 6 years old, the bubonic plague struck, killing a large portion of his family, including his father, Fermo Merisi. A steward and architect, Caravaggio became an orphan at the age of 11. He soon joined the group Painters and Swordsmen. Their motto was "Without hope, without fear." He relocated to Milan soon after becoming the apprentice of Simon Pietrezano, moving to Rome shortly after around 1588 to work for painters in order to make a living. Caravaggio caught the attention of Cardinal Francesco del Monte, who gave him his own home and salary. Caravaggio was an incredible painter, finishing a painting in just 2 weeks. While working under the cardinal, he made up to 40 works, including Boy with the Fruit Basket, Self-Portrait as Bacchus, and The Musicians. In 1597, Caravaggio was commissioned to decorate the Contarelli Chapel. This would result in the creation of St. Matthew and the Angel, the calling of St. Matthew, and the martyrdom of St. Matthew. Through these works, Caravaggio was able to put his own dark spin on them. His biblical scenes portrayed prostitutes, beggars, and thieves. Caravaggio was known to be a bit of hothead. In 1603, he went to prison for a short amount of time after an artist complained Caravaggio had attacked him. His temper got worse as time went on, finally climaxing in 1606 when Caravaggio murdered a man by the name of Ranuccio Tomassoni. Many theories tried to explain why the murder occurred and unpaid debt, lasting over Tomassoni's wife etc. After the murder, he fled Rome and stayed in a few places. While on the run, Caravaggio painted Madonna of the Rosary, Salome with the head of Saint John the Baptist, and many others. Caravaggio's violence did not end there, though in 1608 he attacked Giovanni Roro, who a year later attacked Caravaggio, disfiguring his face, and his vision suffered and it showed in his last works, like the Denial of Saint Peter. Caravaggio passed away in July 18 in 1610 while he was on his way to Rome to ask for pardon from the Pope. His death was most likely due to lead poisoning. Despite his troubled life, Caravaggio influenced many great artists, and no doubt he is one of the pillars of modern painting. Caravaggio's darkness is human, just as light is, and Caravaggio painted a beautiful dance between light and darkness.
Giovanni Lorenzo Bernini. He was one of the greatest Baroque architects and sculptors. The fact that Bernini's sculptures captured the moment of movement contributed to the intensity of the piece when seen. His subject matter included biblical and mythical persons and settings. Bernini's Cornaro Chapel's colorful interior in the Santa Maria della Vittoria Church is highly embellished. Bernini altered the presentation of sculptures. He often constructed them in a round or in the round, which refers to works that stood alone in expansive areas and were intended to be seen from all sides by the observer, boosting the total experience and intimacy with the piece.
Damsel in 1619. This bust was created early in Bernini's career when the artist was 21 years old. It shows a man's grinning face, his features contorted with a wild expression of terror or even agony. This piece was commissioned alongside another bust, Blessed Soul, which portrays a young, beautiful woman looking up in blissful joy. When placed together, these sculptures juxtapose a duality of human emotion, the opposite spectrums between being blessed or being damned. As this piece looked down toward hell, the other represented looking up toward God. Damsel is believed by some to be a self-portrait. Bernini would have looked in a mirror, and some believe he even cut his arm to produce the agonized expression on his face. Although produced early in Bernini's career, these works brought together many elements that would remain present in all of Bernini's future works, such as religious salvation, intense human emotion, and technical skill in sensual depictions of the human body. This dramatic depiction of the flesh was also new in art, contrasting to previous Mannerist styles which often attempted to recreate ancient Roman and Greek traditions. In contrast to this, Bernini and other Baroque artists like Caravaggio and Rubens paved the way for a new way of depicting the human body with a new focus on sensuality. Therefore, the Baroque style started as a reaction or even part of the wider Counter-Reformation movement against Protestant Europe. The use of Baroque was a way for Catholic parts of Europe to easily distinguish them. It soon developed a number of sub-styles and local variations of Baroque developed in the countries where it was adopted. From the 17th and most of the 18th centuries, Baroque dominated the arts, including architecture, sculpture, including music, with famous composers such as Bach being a product of this era.